like whatever they need may be. Perhaps ClickUp can meet all those needs across those different departments. In a lot of cases, it can. So, what kind of content are we pushing out throughout the buyer journey about, oh, it's a chief product officer looking at ClickUp? Great, here's how your department can benefit.
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of The Spotlight. Today we have here Marlee Wagner. Marlee, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience today?
Thank you so much for having me, Ada. Hi, everyone. I'm Marlee Wagner. I am a fractional chief marketing officer and digital customer success consultant. Excited to chat with you today.
Awesome. Really excited to have you today, Marlee. We have a pretty exciting company. I think you chose ClickUp to discuss their customer journey. For those who don't know, it's a project management tool. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting because it's something that probably all of us use on a day to day. And for those who are watching for the first time, the goal of the show is to educate our viewers on how important it is to have a strategic journey and to show people that it's not just putting an ad out there and automatically getting sales, that there's a whole whole list of steps that people have to go through in order to trust your brand and actually become a customer. So that being said, let's dive into our journey of the day. Right, so let me see. Can you see the screen?
I sure can.
Awesome. So, Marlee, if someone gives you this plan, which most companies have a very basic plan and they have a lot of gaps, at least this one is complete. So, if you get something like this, how would you approach this and what would you take into consideration before you dive into this plan?
Sure. So, my work really sits at the border between marketing and customer success, right? So when we talk about a customer journey, I'm thinking about it not just through sale, but all the way through onboarding, expansion, growth, renewal, right? So this is the beginning of what I would look at. But really where my brain goes when I look at something like this, I think about the stat that many of our viewers are probably familiar with. It's 5 times more expensive to
Yeah.
acquire a new customer than it is to retain an existing one, right? So because of that, so many marketers are being asked to really shift their focus from exclusively attracting new customers to also increasing revenue from existing customers. Simultaneously, customer success is being asked to scale. And neither team really knows exactly how to do that, right? There's a lot of collaboration required. And if that doesn't happen, there's a lot of infighting. So that's really the first thing that comes to mind is, hey, okay, we're stopping at the sale. Hey, right, awesome. We had somebody sign on the dotted line. That's amazing. But we know that in the subscription economy, in the SaaS world, that's not necessarily the whole story. So I would first think about, okay, we get through phase 7 and someone is a customer. Amazing. Then what happens?
Then what would happen in that case? What do you think is going to be the approach? I love that.
I really like to think about how what content is available to you that's made really to help customers once they have become that customer, right? So of course we want to be focused on, the sales funnel, the marketing funnel, tofu, bofu, whatever terms we want to use, right? And when we're really focused on what does our content look like? Is it purpose made for that stage of that buyer's journey? Do you also have content that is purpose made for helping your new customers get onboarded and set up in their new platform right away? Do you also have content that is purpose made to help those customers? All right, they're all set up, they're ready to use it. Do you have content that's ready to help them really make the most of your product, get the value that they're paying for, and on and on down the list of that continuous customer journey? What does your content look like for your QBRs? What does your content look like when you're having a pre-renewal conversation? What does your content look like? Let's say somebody identifies that this customer is a candidate for an upsell or a cross sell. I know we're talking about ClickUp. Let's say we're talking about ClickUp identifies a customer and they have a handful of users in the product, but they identify that there are a ton more departments within this customer company that could be using
Mhm.
ClickUp, right? That's their whole model, is that every single department can use
Yeah.
this product, right? So, okay, what kind of content do you have at your disposal? Yes, maybe a CSM or a salesperson is calling, but they need backup. They need material. So what do you have for them that is purpose made for that particular situation? I think that's really, really something that's so important, and so many companies and particularly marketers are just not thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with that, I think the chatbots are really coming into the mind where you give a lot of, there's a lot of AI support, but at the same time, if you have like a good knowledge base that if I ask a question, you can get me back what documentation you have on that, it could really help. And that really supports that. And I think it's really important. And for example, I would be an ideal customer for ClickUp. And
Yeah.
I used to use it, and there's a lot of things that you just don't know about the tool that you just discover like years later. But
Hmm.
you're already thinking about switching platform. So I think that's really important, and it gives a really fresh approach on that the journey doesn't really end at stage 7. It's probably like a beginning of how would you really feed that new journey of the existing client or existing customer.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, if we look at stage 5 here, for example, we have called out, that there's a priority onboarding and setup package offered at that stage, right? That's sort of like dropping breadcrumbs, if you will, of what's to come once that customer becomes a ClickUp customer. So I think that that's really important to call out as well, right? It's not like you said, it doesn't stop at 7. It goes to, I don't know, 50 or whatever it is, but they're all related, right? And so I think, marketers, I'm a marketer, so no shade here, but marketers are really fundamentally flawed in
Yeah.
how we communicate after the sale is made, right? We've long been trained to only communicate with prospects who haven't bought from our company yet. On the flip side, customer success, for example, really, really good at like one-on-one engagement, CSMs talking to customers, but they don't have the digital experience to sort of continue that automation journey past the point of sale, right? And so those campaigns and strategies for existing customers really need components both from marketing and from customer success. And it's fitting those puzzle pieces is easier said than done.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I think we've talked about basically how to increase retention, what to do after step 7. So for a company like this, that there's a lot of competition out there, how would
Mm.
you start? How would you start building awareness for their prospects?
How would I start building awareness, like at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think their motto is really clever. They call themselves the everything app for work. And I think that is a really good differentiator, right? Because we sort of colloquially call them a project management app or software, but they're more than that, right? They have AI capabilities. They have like they integrate with like everything on the planet, every software you could possibly imagine. They do time tracking, they do sprint tracking. You can make custom fields in there. Like there's so much that this platform does that I think they are really, really smart in positioning themselves, not just as project management, but as the everything platform. Um, and so I would really lean into that really heavily. Of course they want to say, yeah, we integrate with your existing tech stack, but in reality, they can replace a lot of your existing tech stack. So
Yeah.
I would lean into a lot of the budget savings, particularly with the economy, at the place that it is right now. I would really lean into, hey, if you just buy ClickUp, guess what? You can eliminate this other cost and this other cost and this other cost and this other cost. Certainly to your point earlier, you could run ads around that. It's not necessarily a terrible idea. Advertising has its place, certainly in a buyer journey. But I would think more around, hey, how does that appear on your pricing page, right? On the pricing page, are we just listing out our costs? Or are we actually showing, some sort of worksheet or something to that effect of yeah, if you spend this much with us, you can probably eliminate these other costs as well. So you're coming out this far ahead in the long run. That's something I would really, really think about. Just as highlighting that everything and that all in one. I also think the all in one everything platform really is relevant when it comes to cross functional collaboration. You and I have talked already about marketing and customer success, how they need to work together on some of these post-sale campaigns. But I think every company struggles with silos between marketing and sales, between product and support. I know the marketing and sales one, like, drives me nuts. I'm like, you guys, we all have the same goal here. Come on.
Right.
But think about between product and support, there can be these crazy silos when you're like, hello, support is getting all this feedback from your customers about your product. Like, why is product not hearing about it? Hi, duh. Right. So if you're talking about the everything platform with ClickUp, what kind of content do you have that emphasizes how different teams, all using the same platform, get better? Not just like your day is less annoying because you actually talk to people in other departments, but how is your productivity higher? How has your company in general benefited from everybody using ClickUp versus one department using a project management platform, another department using a time tracker platform, another department using, like, whatever they need may be. Perhaps ClickUp can meet all those needs across those different departments. In a lot of cases, it can. So what kind of content are we pushing out throughout the buyer journey about, it's a chief product officer looking at ClickUp? Great, here's how your department can benefit. But if a head of marketing from the same company is also looking at ClickUp's website or downloading a resource, what kind of resources do we have for them that can tie those things together and connect those dots for those leaders, for those companies?
Absolutely. It's basically meeting them where they are and in the same language that they're speaking, because you're not giving the same resources to the head of marketing that you're doing, for example, to a COO or a
Sure.
CEO. So they have different needs and they're gonna see it with their eyes. So that's a really great point. Is there anything else you'd like to highlight about this plan or about this journey before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, this is an example. I think it's a good example. It's strong, something that could work, could certainly work. But a big part of determining your buyer journey and what content needs you have is really all about trial and error and iteration and testing, right? So we would take something like this, we would put it in place, we would build it, and then we would test it. We would see if it works. We would see what's working, what's not working, and then you're always going to be tweaking from there. So I think that's another really important thing. It's never a set it and forget it. It's always going to be iterating and changing and evolving as your product, your company, and your customers evolve as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's something that has been repeated across the other episodes, and it's actually not really common for people to iterate. I feel like a lot of clients, even when I say like, hey, you need to change this every month, and they're like, well, why? That's such a high spend, but you need to test if something's working. Something might work even better than what it is right now. Like, it's not for you to take it out, but what can you add to this? How can you, for example, complement a lead magnet with like a good email automation? So I think you highlight 100% what how this plan or like any actual like customer journey could work out there. So thank you so much. It was very insightful. Marley, if our audience wants to find you, what would be the best place for them to search?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Marlee Wagner, or you can find me at marleewagner.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. It's been great. And I hope to see you again.
Thank you, Ada. Appreciate it. Have a great day.